experience, Diane, I'll bet it is with yours too, that there's no stigma attached to homeschooling. We used to live in a 4-house cul-de-sac, and each house sent their children to a different type of school. One was going to the Christian school, one was going to the Catholic school, we homeschooled, another one was going to the public school. So when the kids get back from school at the end of the day, they're all getting together, and they're coming from a variety of different schools. It's just not a big deal that you're a homeschooler.
No, I don't think it is anymore. I think at one time it was kind of seen as unusual and odd, but inevitably, even when I started homeschooling, it was seen that way. Although most of the kids, our home became the neighborhood magnet because I was home. So, all the latchkey kids came to our house, and we did all kinds of fun things together, in the afternoons when there weren't other parents home, but the kids got out of school. And so my kids had the benefit of interacting with neighborhood children who went to public and private schools in the area. And inevitably, these kids, when they saw what we were doing all day, all wanted to be homeschooled, And they would ask me, please, Mrs. Keith, would you please homeschool me? I hate school. So that was interesting for my kids to see.
People homeschool in a variety of different ways and with a variety of different organizations. So, for example, if a homeschooler belongs to a charter school in their state, then that charter school gets together for cluster classes.
Yes, as does some of the individual school districts that offer home study programs through the public schools. And they will offer, sometimes they offer classes a couple of days a week that the kids can go and participate in, and then they'll offer some field trips and other social opportunities as well.
The junior colleges, of course, are a terrific resource.
Fabulous resource are the community colleges as the kids get a little bit older. I've even known 12-year-olds that have gone to community college, and that's not to say that you unleash them on the social environment of a community college at 12, but they definitely interact with the different people in the classroom and wind up with friends of many different ages as a result of that, and I think that's really valuable. Plus, another way kids can get a lot of socialization is through volunteer opportunities in the community. And
terrific. They have the time and they're available during the day.
Yeah, and well, not only that, but a lot of times people say, well, my kids are too young, because we have this unfortunate situation where usually if they're 15 or younger, oftentimes insurance liability issues kick in with big, say museums where the kid might want to be an intern or a volunteer. And so they'll say, no, we have this age limitation. But sometimes these organizations that need volunteers will allow the child to accompany a parent who offers to volunteer. So that's sort of one way to get around or circumvent that rule. And I know that there are organizations, I know here in this area we have Pets in Need that have, for example, days when kids can come in and, so I love this, they socialize the puppies and the kittens. They go into the facility where they have puppies and kittens for adoption, these humane societies, and the kids pet the kitties and the puppies to get them used to contact with people. They socialize them. I love that.
Well, Diane, we have a few minutes left, but the big question still is, how will homeschoolers learn to compete in the big wide world if they aren't in competitive schools?
No, the big question is, what about the prom?
Oh, yeah, you're right. What about prom? What about graduation?
Before we go to competition, let's address that one, because I hear that all the time. What about
Oprah Winfrey asked that in her interview when she interviewed.
Did she really?
Mm-hmm, a couple of years ago.
What about the prom? I really think, I remember one kid saying, I really think that if the whole culmination of your entire school experience is, this one night at prom, that's, it ends in so many different ways for so many different people. Some people never get invited to the prom. Some people go to the prom and have a horrible time. Some people spend so much money at the prom that they regret it for months afterwards because, what they paid wasn't worth what they got in return. Some people have these huge letdowns after the prom. And, of course, some people really enjoy their proms. There's no getting around that.
Plus, I think prom and graduation are viewed as a rite of passage. And rite of passages are important. Yeah,
they are important, and you can certainly create your own rites of passage. And don't you have somebody on these conferences that's going to be speaking about rites of passage, or who has in the past?
Yes, it's Barb Shelton at homeschooloasis.com, HOMESCHOOLOASIS.com. She is not available this year, but last year she talked about how you can create your own incredibly memorable graduation ceremony. So if you go over to Barb's site, she has some terrific information for you. She's done for her own children.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of homeschool parents now are creating homeschool graduations through their support groups or through their state organizations. In California, all three of the state homeschool organizations I'm aware of offer some form of a graduation ceremony at their conferences or recognition ceremonies.
Yes, and many of the homeschool curriculum providers, I know that Laurel Springs has a prom and a graduation ceremony for all of their students.
Well, yeah, and in California we have for the last 2-3 years we've had the California homeschool prom that takes place in Saratoga, California. It's organized by homeschool parents, and all the kids, dress up in formal attire and get into their limos and go and have a fancy, 5-course meal at a country club, and then, dance to music afterwards. And in fact, it got picked up in Life magazine online, or one of those magazines that, because it was just such an unusual occurrence. People hadn't thought about homeschoolers actually creating and having their own proms. But I can guarantee you the environment was probably a lot more mature and healthy, for the kids than what they might see at their local public school prom.
Plus, many homeschoolers do go to the local high school proms too with their friends.
That's funny that you mentioned that. One of my sons got invited to 8 different proms in 1 year, and it practically broke the bank. He had to go to work, get a job just so he could afford to pay the admission fee and pay for the tux rentals. But he did get invited to many, many proms and sock hops and all that kind of thing. And in fact, it was for him as a young man. He met a lot of girls who went to private schools, and oftentimes they weren't co-ed private schools. So when they met him, then they sort of passed him around from one girl to the next. Would say, "Would you come to my prom? I don't have a date." And so he was just a friend that they invited to go to the prom with them. So he had a good time and got that experience from that.
Well, Diane, let's open up the call. So callers, once again, several hundred people on the call, so we want to watch the noise level, but I'd love you to be able to speak with Diane personally, to be able to share some of your insights, your experiences, and also to ask any questions that you might have. Please press *6 to mute your phone, or better yet, if you have a mute button on your phone, that is the safer option. So I'm going to open up the call now, Diane, and we'll take their question. I'll repeat it so we can make sure we get it clean on the recording. Very good. Hello. Does anyone have a question or comment they'd like to talk about?
I do. My name is Mary.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
Hi, Mary.
Hold on. Someone is doing dishes on the background. If you would be so kind as to mute your phone. You may think that you're in mute mode, but we're catching the dishes. Okay, very good. Try again now.
Okay. Speaking of graduation, I have a 7-year-old, a 9-year-old, and an 11-year-old, and I'm a single mom, and our homeschooling isn't exactly like probably most people, but about the graduation.
Mm-hmm.
My sister's children graduated from elementary school and then from middle school, and we're not doing that kind of thing.
Hello?
They kind of put their nose up to it. And I'm just wondering...
Hold on. Someone has some children in the background. Please push *6 to mute out your call.
If, my question would be, am I depriving my children, or, should I be trying to do something like that? Because we're really not, being homeschoolers, we're really not, going from grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 in our particular case. So just come.
Let me go back into the lecture mode here and repeat your question, because it's just an excellent question. So, Diane, she was saying that, they have these rites of passage. Mm-hmm. You go from grade 1 to grade 2. And then nowadays there's 6th grade graduations and 8th grade graduations, and there's senior year graduations. So she worries that if she does not have these rites of passage, is she depriving her children from that experience, or is there? How important are these rites of passages, and are there different ways to have these passages?
I think that depends on the individual child, and what are their feelings about what they've accomplished and how they would like to see that honored. And I think that one of the things you can do is just talk to your kids and say, how do you feel about this? Especially for those people who don't really designate their kids are in any particular grade. Sometimes kids have in their heads that then when they reach a certain age, like, for instance, they reach double digits, 10, that something special should happen. They have this sense of that maybe from the noise of the culture or from some other place, or maybe even from the family itself, that now they've reached